Wakey wakey, it's another beautiful day, the 30th of April 2024, and I'm glad that you're joining us here on the Morning Prime. Today is Tuesday. You have Siasa Fiesta coming your way every Tuesday, where we take a critical analysis of the politics of the land, of course, of the day. As we know it so far, we have devastation that is happening with the deluge of the floods right now. That number from Mai Mahiu has ticked up to 90. And bodies are still, of course, being sought out from where they were swept away by the floods. We shall be giving you more details of this as we continue with the program right now. Also in Tana River as well, rescue efforts continue to go on. We will be missing our senator there from Tana River. This is Danson Mungatana, who's normally here every Tuesday. He is back there in the county to make sure that he is in solidarity with the families that are affected, and of course with the continued effort to try and rescue those bodies from the capsized boat. This is the reality on the ground and the effects of climate change, and we can see right now every other part of the country is being affected by the floods, and we shall be also analyzing this, what really happened also in Makueni. The number also has ticked up so far as the victims of the floods are concerned. We shall be speaking to Dan Manzo, who's a senator of Makueni as well, to tell us more about that. But for now, let's see what is fresh off the press this morning. This is what you're waking up to on the front page of the Standard today. Deluge of death is that somber, morbid, of course, headline that we have this morning. Residents near Kijabe Dam were warned about rapidly rising waters, but no action was taken. And thereafter, an entire village was caught unawares at night as floods, waters swept everything on its way. And here you have an aerial view of the devastation, the roads, the way they were swept away, and how also the trees were uprooted by the ferocious floods that, of course, we had the water breaking their banks or breaking the dam there, and this is the effect of it. We'll give you that story momentarily in our news bulletin. And you can see also rescue efforts there by Kenya Red Cross, houses swept by raging waters of Kijabe Dam and Mai Mahiu in Nakuru County yesterday. Residents and Red Cross workers rescue victims. Out of the 45 people confirmed dead, 17 were children. And when this was going to publication, the number was standing at 45. Right now, it is 90. 45 number of people who died in the dam tragedy yesterday. The number is higher because families have reported so many missing relatives after floods swept homes as people slept. 76 by then were missing, and most of them have also been confirmed dead. And that number, as I've mentioned, has ticked up 150. Number of people who sought treatment at Mai Mahiu Health Center, at least 25 were referred to Naivasha Sub-County Hospital. And you can follow the story inside the publication today. Deluge of death, that is the somber reality today. 2, 3, 4, and 6 is where this story is well fleshed out for you inside the Standard today. Let's see what the Daily Nation is holding. Black Monday, that is what is a splash today. Nature's fury. Vehicles on the Nairobi Mai Mahiu Road were also swept away by the raging waters. Death at dawn when the residents of Jerusalem and the Kamushiri villages in Mai Mahiu retired to bed on Sunday night after a day spent attending church service with loved ones, visiting with family and friends, or preparing children for school. They looked forward to a new busy week, but unbeknownst to them, tragedy lay in wait uphill in a gully that had collected massive floodwaters. And then early yesterday, a slurry of mud, rocks and trees came down, sweeping away everything in its path, leaving 46 people and counting dead. You have a story on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation this morning. 46 bodies recovered after the Mai Mahiu tragedy. The search for victims and survivors is still ongoing, and you can see such a telling picture of a mom trying to rescue the son there. A woman carries a child through a slurry of mud yesterday in Mai Mahiu, Naivasha, Nakuru County. 102 people rescued and who are recuperating at the Mai Mahiu and Naivasha sub-county hospitals. You can follow the story, as I mentioned, on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. On the sidebar, confusion over school reopening as Mashogu defends move. Thousands of primary and secondary school students trooped to their respective schools early yesterday, unaware that the government had pushed forward to pushed for the opening dates for the second time by a week. The late night announcement caught many parents unawares, as many of them had already sent their children to school the previous night for overnight travel to various institutions across the country. This story is well fleshed out for you on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Remember, also you have the Pullet magazine, Healthy Nation, coming in handy for you. Vaccine shy is what is the subject this morning. Also looking on the teaser on top here, for cheap loans, Kenya yields too tough while bank conditions. Also reprieve for residents of border counties as state scraps ID vetting committees. You have a story on the back page of the Daily Nation this morning. All right, we have the Star holding this splash for you. Doomed chopper propeller linked to Ogola's death. As the splash this morning, engine failed, impact forced roof to collapse on CDF and 9 others. The story continues on page 4 and 5 of the Star. Preliminary findings, military helicopters was not mechanically sound. That is what the flag is reading here, and you can read the story on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning. ODM bigwigs seek to influence grassroots polls, and we can see the jostling for it. ODM leader Raila Odinga with Wycliffe Oparanya and Hassan Joho at the party national delegates conference in Bomas yesterday. You can read all about it also inside the Star. We have 27-year-old woman fighting in common eye condition. Gloria Ondieki, who's 27, has been through hell and back. And at the tender age of 5, when she just started schooling, she discovered she had eyesight issues. She could not read anything far from her, and when night fell, she couldn't literally not see. And you have a story on page 17. You can find out what the condition is. Also, lack of political goodwill delays police reforms. Human rights organizations are concerned that efforts to hold police officers accountable is technically dead, as IPOA and the Internal Affairs Unit no longer enjoy goodwill and resources to carry out their work. Yeah, the story is on page 2 of the Star this morning. Nyamo Jumbo advocate out on a mission. Kenya Elephant Protection Campaigner Jim Nyamo has been traversing countries outlining the challenges facing the country's jumbos. You can follow the story on page 16. I think you should read counties if it's within the country. Right, but you can follow the story on page 16 of the Star this morning. Also, we have a People Daily for you. Floods kills 91. That is what we have as a splash here on the front page of the People Daily this morning. Tragedy, road cuts, vehicles swept while Sezalon Dam busts its banks, causing gushing overflows that claim lives and decimate hundreds of homes in Don Hora. 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the People Daily has dedicated those pages for this heart-wrenching story. And you can see the devastation there. This is a bus, and Wananchi can be seen at the site where the early Easy-Coach, or an Easy-Coach I should say, bus that was swept away by flash floods at Mai Mahiu in Nakuru County, where over 40 people died on Sunday night. And on top, thousands stranded as schools reopening postponed. That is what we have there as a teaser. We can see Ganjoni Junior Secondary students returning home yesterday after the Ministry of Education rescheduled reopening of schools to May the 6th. Taifa leo, mafuriko ya mauti, and you can see a bird's eye view of what really happened in Mai Mahiu. Also, the buses, some people trying to make sure also they can rescue 1 or 2 items there. Wakazi wakikusanya mabaki kutokana na nyumba yao iliyoharibiwa Mai Mahiu. That is a story there you can follow inside Taifa leo. Oparanya ataka madividi na weta wavunje vyama. That is a story on page 4 of Taifa leo this morning. We can buckle down to some business now, where Kenya cancels France-backed Mau Summit toll highway contract. Fresh tender for the road to be issued. Users were to pay up to 6,641 one way. And you can read the rest of the story on page 2 of the Business Daily this morning. And you can see how that particular road has been eroded there. This is the Kitale Kapenguria Lodwar Juba Highway, which was cut off at Louis in West Pokot County yesterday. And you can see also a passenger bus damaged by raging waters from a bus galley, which killed 46 people and destroyed several homes in Kamushiri village in Mai Mahiu yesterday. All that also, you can read it inside the Business Daily. KQ suspends DRC flights in protest over detained crew. That is another story that you can doggedly follow it on page 2 of the Business Daily. State running costs outpace taxes. Despite Ruto's pledge, the cost of running the national government has risen faster than tax receipts in the current financial year, going against our pledge to lessen the burden on taxpayers. Kisumu, Uganda Expressway feasibility assessment kicks off. 2 consultancy firms appointed by the EAC have taken over the site for the planned 256-kilometer 4-lane expressway from Kisumu to Uganda via Busia, ready to kick off feasibility studies on the project. Also, MPs to probe telcos credit purchase deals. That is another story that is well fleshed out for you on page 5 of the Business Daily this morning. 20 foreign institutional investors flee NSE. Some 20 foreign institutional investors exited the Nairobi Security Exchange in the first 3 months of 2024. This is according to new data there. All that tucked away inside the Business Daily. Let's cross over to Uganda, where Besigye favored to lead new party. It's a new home. Majority supporters of Forum for Democratic Change, that is FDC party faction, have voted for formation of a new political party with 4-time presidential candidate Kizza Besigye as the leader. Views from country-wide tours shows this, and this story is on page 4 and 5 of today's publication. And new bridge to spur trade transport in Kaliro, Palisa. It's all about infrastructure. And you can just see here an aerial view of the newly constructed Saka Bridge, which connects Palisa and Kaliro district in eastern Uganda. The bridge, which is part of a 4.5 kilometers road built by Arab contractors at 76 billion shillings, cuts across there is a major swamp, and will boost trade and movement between the 2 districts after a long battle with floods, which always rendered the road impassable. Now there is that immediate action, and you can see how beautiful it looks there. That is a new bridge there. New mobile money rules and realistics. This is what agents are saying. Mobile money agents in Kampala have said the Bank of Uganda directives to use national IDs for transactions of 1 million shillings and above are not viable. You can read all about it inside the Daily Monitor today. Also, you have Rainbow coming in handy for you. Taiba International holds lavish sports day, and UBOs to count refugees, islanders, army and the special groups. That is on page 10 of the Daily Monitor in Uganda. We cross over to Tanzania, where we have a citizen experts what lower interbank transfer charges via tips mean. Analysts say the newly introduced caps on fees for bank-to-bank transfer through the Tanzania Instant Payment System, that is TIPS, will strengthen and boost in the banking industry and promote the transition to a cashless economy. That is a story you want to follow on page 2 of The Citizen this morning. African leaders outline priorities for rich nations, World Bank to focus on. That is the story that also is well laid out for you there. And you can see the pictures. The African leaders yesterday outlined priority areas where rich countries and development partners could focus on to stimulate growth on the continent. That story on page 2. Let's hear what they said here. Of course, we'll give you some of the bites much later in the course of the program. In our news bulletin, we have President Samia Suluhu saying, we strongly believe that IDA should focus more on providing concessional loans such as 50-year credits. These facilities will provide more physical space for African countries to address competing development needs. We have President William Ruto of Kenya. African economies are facing a deepening development and debt crisis that threatens our economic stability and urgent climate emergencies that demand immediate and collective action for our planned survival. Also, we have Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni saying the reason why Africa is not growing is because the growth factors are not funded. If you want to help Africa fund the railway, you can now audit how much you spend for railways compared to the financing of capacity buildings or building there. You can follow the story inside the Citizen I'm leaving one more, but let me read. This is Ethiopian PM Abiy Ahmed saying, with 120 million people, Ethiopia has great potential for prosperity. Yet, as a key recipient of IDS support in Africa, Ethiopia faces a significant financing shortfalls that may hinder the progress. All are tucked away in today's publication of The Citizen. Of course, over now to Rwanda, see what the New Times is holding for us. 10 key proposed changes in Rwanda's cooperative bill. Anytime a cooperative incurs a loss, it earmarks for the following year funds to compensate for the loss. This story continues on page 3 of the New Times. PAC hearings kick off in earnest, and you can see officials from Water and Sanitation Corporation, that is WASAC, appearing before members of Parliament Public Accounts Committee to respond to issues detailed in the Auditor General's report for the financial year 2022-2023 on Monday. And you can read all about it inside the publication today. Also, Chinese engineering firm embarks on Kigali sewerage system project, Rwanda to use UNESCO model to reduce teenage pregnancies. All that tucked away on page 4 of the New Times as well. All right, let's see what the East African is holding this week. South Sudan auditor queries use of IMF bailout cash. Audit report cites irregularities in award of tenders, taxation of government contractors, and accounting issues around the $114 million emergency fund. The story is on page 6 of the Daily Monitor. Also on the cyber, we have history on sale in South African heritage auction. Relief as Uganda frees 32 Kenyans. Court marshals releases hardest jailed over illegal arms. This story is tucked on page 3 of the East African this morning. All right, China Daily, we have she's Europe visit expected to bolster ties. Upcoming trips to France, Serbia, Hungary, seen as key to global peace development as well. And you can read all that on page 2, where it continues, of the China Daily today. AI data training supported by domestic chips. That is another story. Aging population forces rethink on family duties, healthcare as well. That is another story. You can read all about it inside the China Daily this morning. Also, learning against all odds. We can see a picture here. Children attending a class on Sunday at a makeshift school in a camp for displaced Palestinians in Deir el-Balah, central Gaza Strip. Hope for Israel and Palestine agreeing to a ceasefire rose amid meetings in Saudi Arabia and Egypt on the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza after months of fighting. This story continues on page 14 of the China Daily this morning. All right, we have also the international publications there. The Economist, how strong is India's economy? That is a probing question. You have a special report inside the publication this week. Also, where next is the tech wars? The overlooked Trump-proof tiger. Ukraine, what 61 billion dollars will buy, and has Taylor Swift picked? That's another story there on The Economist. We have also the Newsweek as well, Unstoppable. And in light of what is going on in India as far as elections are concerned, how Narendra Modi is changing India and the world. You can read all about him being the unstoppable into the Newsweek. An exclusive interview there, I should say, with the Newsweek. The Time magazine, you have a special edition there where Olivia Rodrigo, songs that touch the world, her astonishing rise, her Disney roots, plus driver's license and an album with guts. This is all in the special edition of the Time magazine. And we have also the week as well, ready for takeoff. The Rwanda bill finally passes. This is, of course, the Rwanda-UK Asylum Pact, and it had, of course, gone through some choppy waters, but right now, it has sailed through in the light of day, and this will be happening. You can read about it inside the latest publication of the week as well. Also, the case that could derail Trump campaign, the self-belief of a star producer, and is the smoking ban a crackdown? Is asking a probing question there. Is the smoking ban a crackdown too far? That is on page 19 of the week. All right, that is a UK publication. The US publication is holding this splash. The Good Fight, why Johnson risked his job to secure aid for Ukraine. And you can see a telling caricature there of the week as well. The litmus of a campus protest, the nature's ultimate survivor, Is Pop Screen too prolific? That is all about Taylor Swift inside the latest publication of the week as well. And we have editorial cartoon. This is Victor, who has drawn this particular caricature today, just in standing in solidarity with the lives that have been lost so far, 91, and many more also as we know it. That is just adding to the number that was crossing over to 100 as far as flood victims are concerned in this country. And we all pay our homage, or we all pay our deepest sympathy and sincere condolences to the families that have been affected by the floods, and people also were recuperating in the hospital. We wish them quick recovery. And also you can see this is Tana as well. I need your help. Meanwhile, everything is under control, but the sharks are circling. Disaster management team, as it can be seen here, depicted by Stano. That is the reality of the ground. We're eagerly waiting for our panelists to continue to join us. We have, of course, Mboko Milemba with us, who is a member of Parliament of Mai, also the chair of CUPET. He shall be also giving us an insight on the latest regarding that particular announcement by the Ministry of Education. This is regarding the latest development on the pushing forward of the opening date of schools and how many have been affected so far. We had reactions there. We shall be telling you more about that. We shall be joined as well by Dan Manzo this morning to tell us also what is happening in Makueni, and also Kongo Mogini, who is just taking his seat as well, Member of Parliament Nyamira as well. So we have a full-packed show. You get to drive a show with us. You can hit us on Twitter, as you know it. That is formerly Twitter, I should say. Now it is X, and our X handle is at KT News at Dibalane as well. You can use that particular handle. But over to you, Mboko Milema. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Right, and we hope that you'll tell us more insights on how people have been affected so far. We saw Secretary General also, Missouri, talking about it yesterday. Just this latest development. Capitation has not also been down to the banks or to the cash, to the accounts as well. Yeah. That is adversely affecting also the running of schools as well. But also I want to invite Okongo Mogini. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Yes, good morning, Debal.
Good morning.
Good to see you too.
Fantastic.
You have been off the screens for a while now, almost 2 weeks.
Yes, yes.
We haven't seen you on the screens.
Yeah, we just took a short break a bit.
I thought you got scared of the rains.
Yeah, I'm telling you nowadays.
Yeah, you either
have
scared
gambles as well.
Or you didn't have a boat to cross from where you stay.
Yeah, but it's such a serious issue. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yes, yes.
The rains have really been heavy. Really pounded the country and caused a lot of destruction. At times deaths, and I want to first sympathize, with the families that have lost their loved ones, those that have lost their property, those that are cut off from some parts of this country, and say our sincere condolences to their families and our apology to them. And also just ask the government to really be alert, try to respond and mitigate the suffering that Kenyans are going through at this time. Because these rains, I heard somebody from Mai Mahiu, fairly old mzee, could be around 70, saying he has lived in Mai Mahiu for all his life, but he has never seen the kind of destruction from the rains that he saw. Just imagine what the passengers who are in this bus went through. It must have been a very, very scary experience. Yeah, and I think what we need to do as a country is to now warn ourselves that global warming is going to have a very adverse weather conditions.
Yes.
Therefore, we need to put in place mechanisms to ensure that we can respond to any emerging emergency situations. We now need even to have, you see what other developed countries do. At times you can also even have standby choppers, because at times these floods can block you. There's no way you move from where you are. If you are in a corner somewhere and floods have cut you off, even getting out of that place may be a challenge. So we really need the government to up his game, put in place all resource mobilization, so that people who need food can be given food. Those who need support, like essential products like food, those who need to be supported with beddings, mattresses, can be housed quickly, maybe in some public facilities like schools. We also must warn ourselves that we are going to have an outbreak of waterborne diseases. So we have to really put all those measures in place and keep monitoring the situation, warning our citizens, those who need to be moved. You know, we must be ahead. You know, we should not be reactive all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that we mitigate the losses that we are likely to suffer from these very adverse weather conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's say from Mr. Mboko there, how is Muhaya?
Not very fine.
Not very fine.
As I arrived in Nairobi yesterday evening, and I was also exposed to this news of this more of a force majeure, because it's like you are attacked by water and you are not expecting it to happen. And there are many families now reeling in very bad spaces where they have not been before. And my condolences to them, and just wish that some action be taken quickly. And it's all over the country, but I think what needs to be done is the use of IT to actually warn drivers on roads, and possibly just also issue a general warning by the internal security ministry, so that travels are managed. You know, we have to really get committed to this. This morning, I'm sure somebody's waking up and he's just saying, I'm traveling through Mai Mahiu because I have to travel today. People must be warned, the government must give notices so that people change, postpone journeys. This happens. There could be this student who traveled from Mombasa to Eldoret, like I saw yesterday. And the parents are calling now, they are saying, come back home. There must be just a deliberate warning by the state agencies, Ministry of Roads, Ministry of Internal Security, that those students should not travel. And it's just like that, so that we control movements. Because I'm telling you, Dibala, even this evening, even you and myself, we don't take care, we could be victims of the floods. We must know when we shall have to go home, when the rains will be behaving, and therefore we rely on the meteorological department, not only just predicting the long period, the 2 weeks, the 3 days, but also saying today it will be like this, and therefore we advise as much as possible travel should end by midday. We have seen those signals in the developed countries being given, and then travels are stopped for a while, so the lives are saved. Otherwise, in Muhaya, not doing well, because on last week we lost 2 people who were killed in one of my markets called Emakaha. And I buried them on Saturday. And we gave people hope that we had brought in security agencies and forces. But yesterday when I woke up, I wanted to do inspection of projects. Another one person was also killed in the same market. So I have insecurity in Muhaya, and not just Muhaya, in the entire Bunyole region, where we have the 2 constituencies of Muhaya and Rwanda. Because 2 weeks ago again
in Rwanda,
now
there
3 people. You have been following?
Yes, I've been following.
3 people were killed and dumped on the road there. And I've been asking also the KPLC to put street lighting in that particular. I've written a number of letters. I've written to the IG, I've written to Waziri. And you know what's sad, like in Muhaya? One time I had to look for a vehicle for police to patrol a Makaha, where we are losing people. But a commander of police based in Vihiga in Bale, whom I'm still looking for, and that's what the business I'll be doing today, went and took the vehicle and is using it at the expense of the entire community at Makaha. So people are dying. The few policemen who are there don't have vehicles, and one man took the vehicle away when it was actually slotted for a police station. This is how this country.
But what is it exacerbating the rising spate of insecurity, especially in Rwanda? Is this is unemployment of the youth, or what is it?
I don't know, but 2 things. There is this the border teams. I don't know what happened with them, because they are involved. And also there's bad blood between the border side of the Luo and the border side of the Benyore, Luya land. Because you see, the 3 boys we lost recently, yes, there were 3 and they were murdered on the Luo side. We only went to pick bodies. So when that happens, and these ones also want to revenge. Earlier on, we had lost other 3 people. So I don't know if the Maseno border issue is also a challenge. And when I call out on Kindiki and the IG, they should come out to actually help and actually understudy what's going on there. Because at least I saw this thing, deluge of death. Then I just changed this massive death. But you know, in Rwanda for the last, Rwanda and Mahia, on the last 30 days, I think we have lost more than 30 people.
More than 30 people?
More than 30 people. We could do a head count. Murdered.
Wow, wow. Let's say the situation also in Nyamira as well. And you can tell us, have you been affected by the floods in any way? Or measures have been put in place?
Yes. You know, we live in the highlands.
We live in the highlands, so at least...
We live in the highlands. I don't know why our brothers, the other Bantus, didn't want to follow us to the highlands.
You were cowards. So that's how we went all the way. My story.
Yeah. So the effect of flooding is not as devastating. You know, other than a small tragedy where a building collapsed in one of our markets called Gesima in Nyamira. We really haven't. We have been fortunate, we must say. We have been fortunate enough not to have received any deaths or destruction from the heavy rains that are pounding the country. So that's the advantage of living in the highlands. But of course, the rains affect farming, you know. The maize, beans growing, when they are still growing, they don't need a lot of rain.
Yes.
So I suspect if these rains continue, we will have some negative effect on the crop yields that we expect from our farmers. But then, as Mheshimiwa Mboka said, you could be a victim anytime. You know, you can't imagine. I traveled from Nyamira on Sunday, late afternoon, to attend a meeting that was convened by the DP for all constitutional commissions in Lake Naivasha Lodge. And I drove through this section of Mai Mahiu because I traveled from Narok to Mai Mahiu and I turned left to Naivasha, only to wake up and you know, my driver was telling me, if we need to go to Nairobi, we will not be able to go back through the same route that we passed. So when we're talking about floods, our people are traveling. There are many people from Nyamira County that use the Narok, Mai Mahiu, Nairobi Road. So I agree with Mheshimiwa that unless it's absolutely necessary, we should avoid unnecessary travels at this time till these rains reduce. You're exposing yourself unnecessarily. You know, your page 2 and 3 standard tells it all. You know, you can see that private vehicle has been thrown several meters off the road. I think that is
supposed to be a sofa
easy
set.
coach. Yeah?
It's supposed to be a sofa set in a house.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder where that sofa set came from. You can see the gate there. Yeah. I mean, these photos, if anybody can get a copy of today's standard, page 2 and 3, it should be a wake-up call.
Really telling.
It's telling. I mean, really, if you are...
So this has been swept from a house. This is a sofa set.
Yes, imagine.
Diverting waters.
That sofa set. Look at that easy coach.
The easy coach did it. Wow.
Again, could be it was
the fate of the passengers traveling in this bus also remains unknown.
From Nyamira, we don't know. Look at that private car on the far right there. You know, look at the other picture there. I think a gate has been uprooted and dumped somewhere. So these rains are not a joke, really. We must be very cautious and reduce any unnecessary travel. You go to page 4, if you are in Lodwar, Kapenguria, you can see what has happened to the road. I think standard you have told it all as that is happening across the country. The road from Kapenguria to Lodwar has totally been cut off. You know, it's totally been cut off. So even those who want to travel between those two sections should be forewarned. So I think this is serious, very devastating, and we can just ask the government to be alert and see how we can assist Kenyans who are affected, who are in their thousands. Yeah.
Indeed. And
the deliberate predictions that I was talking about and which he has alluded to should be with you. I came here and you have done a lot of reading here.
Yes.
I don't know what you're doing, but you are giving coverage of all newspapers, including China.
Yes.
You know, I don't read China myself. So I said, this guy is serious.
And you have a copy of a China maybe?
No, I have a China.
What is happening in other jurisdictions?
Possibly you should have just been giving the preview of how it will look like today. You travelers, avoid the road from Mai Mahiu to this.
Indeed.
Avoid this area. So the meteorological department has to give you the media houses this information, and you actually relate to the public.
Indeed. One also of the counties that has been affected is Makueni, and we have Dan Mazo here. We are given to understand also the numbers from the Kwamusi river has risen to 10, according to the latest.
Yes, it has risen to 10, and first of all, condolences to all the people who have been affected by the floods and who have lost their dear ones, including the people of Makueni. All of you saw what happened. There's a river somewhere near Sultanamudu, and people, it was a market day in Kasikeu. And therefore, people thought or were meant to believe, a lorry which was loaded with with the construction stones would be a good climb to go through the river. And unfortunately, so many people went up to this truck hoping to cross the river, and this truck was swept. Scientifically, when a truck or any vehicle gets into a river, because of the tires,
the traction there becomes
the traction and the tires. You float.
The airfield.
The airfield. So it doesn't matter how heavy any vehicle is, it gets afloat and is likely to be swept away. Unfortunately, this happened, and quite a number of though we have confirmed 10, we still have another 10 or so missing. Quite a number of people were rescued by swimmers, and as others went on the top of the roof of the vehicle, others went on top of a tree, we're still looking for people downstream, and really we've called upon the national government, disaster management team, which is based in Nairobi. You see, when the bodies get swept downstream, they end up to River Athi. And therefore, unless you fly with an helicopter along the river, you may find some people dumped somewhere. Some people were being found on top of trees without clothes. Water is that tragic, and it's very unfortunate. Our governor visited the area yesterday and condoled with the families. We continue to condole with them and look for help. And most important now is tracing the people who are still missing. It's very agonizing, and that's what we are following up today and tomorrow to make sure at least the rest of the people can be seen. And that doesn't only happen in Makueni, most unfortunate. You can see what has happened in many other parts of the country, and I think one of the things the disaster management team now must monitor are the dams. You have to keep on checking every other dam. What is the situation now, especially these earth dams built by the counties, so that if there is a way of releasing the water before it releases itself to people, I think that should happen almost in every other county, and we've got quite a number of other, dangerous situations. You saw the houses in Tana River. I even talked about it on the floor of the house, that these people have actually constructed on the riparian land, and they are actually on the floor of the river, because I've seen it over the years that the river are the swells, and it was obviously from the Crystal Mall and all that development, which I'm told in Emma was taken to court and overpowered, and now you have seen people woke up one day to find the only place they can find salvage is on the top of the roofs. And these are innocent buyers. So I believe also now this is a time Kenyans should know, before you buy a riverbed as a plot. In fact, these people who, where they say these plots for sale, the posting itself, the posts are covered by water. And I think buyers should really be aware, and this should be a big lesson to Kenyans for the future. It's a serious disaster. It needs action of the government. We already have a budget, which is always for disaster. It should be released, but with a disaster like this budget is never released. You remember the incidents in Tana River? All that, and I think Kenyans now need to be more cautious now that the weather forecast says the rains are still going to swell, to be more this week, and probably will go down next week. So I think it's a high time, really, Kenyans got very alert, and well, I'm very surprised why the Minister for Education had to delay so much for an obvious matter. Most schools are flooded, so and people who have been displaced have moved to schools. So when you open schools, and risk so many children all over the place, and children are obedient. If you tell them to open schools, some will be tempted to cross rivers. I think parents must be more alert that you don't allow children to go unaccompanied. And I think even after 1 week, the Minister of Education should be open-minded to review the situation, so that you can even open the schools from the areas which are not flooded, from places which are much dry, and then if need be, you can still push the school opening further, and then later on compensate it with the following holiday, other than risking so many children going to school. And I'm very surprised the government has taken too much time to make a decision on a very important matter.
Too much time, or way too late when people are still traveling. And of course, we'll hear from Omboko here. But let's just put this story into perspective as well, because we have also the Minister of Interior now warning that yes, any person who crosses over the rivers should be arrested. I don't know if that is verified. My director is just informing me, but also he's actually been saying that all these dams should be inspected as well. But let's just go back to yesterday in Mai Mahiu, where we know at least now the number has risen to 91 people who have been confirmed dead after a seasonal dam in Kijabe at the border of Nakuru and Kiambu counties burst its banks, causing devastating effects downstream in Mai Mahiu. And at least 40 people still missing. That number had risen to 76, with over 100 others admitted in various hospitals as search and rescue operations continues. Families living on the lower sides have been urged to move to safer grounds as rains continues to pound the country, with floods-related deaths now at over 300 countrywide. Ken Gachu has more.
Monday morning at around 3 a.m., residents of 4 villages in Mai Mahiu ward, Nakuru County, were woken up by a loud bang that denied many a chance to run for their lives.
Maji kaja kwa nyumba hivi katuzungusha, katuleta mpaka juu. Nikangangana, nimeshika mtoto kadogo ya miezi 7 hivi na mkono. Mwingine miaka 3, wengine 2 tena. Na hawa ndugu zangu tukangangana mpaka nikaweza kubomoa mabati.
Mzee alikuwa amelala, nikamuita, nikamwambia asikie hiyo mgurumo, lakini haikukaa kwa muda mrefu. Nikamwaita tuokoe watoto juu walikuwa wamelala nyumba next. Na kufika tu chini hivi hatukusikia maji, lakini kufungua mlango hivi ukuta ya nyuma ikabomolewa na maji.
A seasonal dam arising from a block tunnel passing under the railway line unexpectedly released its waters, which swept people, houses, trees, vehicles and everything on its way in 4 villages downstream.
Maji yametokea huko juu, huko Kijabe ile ya samani, Kijabe mzee, yakakuja na nguvu nyingi sana, na maji yameleta madhara ambayo hayajaonekana Mai Mahiu tangu tuzaliwe.
Kama kwa muda wa dakika 20 hivi nikateremsha mguu na nikasikia nimeguza mchanga. Naye mzee saa hiyo ananiambia naacha nawaagia kwa heri juu mimi ni kwenda naenda. Na mimi nikamwambia hautaenda. Mungu ambaye tumemkia lazima atuokoe.
12 hours into the search and rescue mission, 45 bodies had been recovered, among them 17 children, over 100 rescued from the jaws of death, and over 40 others still missing.
That compound had like 10 people, including my brother-in-law and his family. We have seen 6 people so far, but we are missing 4.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accompanied by Governor Susan Kihika and Kimani Wamatangi, visited the area and delivered donations to the affected families.
Na hili shida limekuja ni ile inaitwa natural calamity. Sio serikali imesababisha, sio chief, sio wewe. Hii ni mambo ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Sisi tuliomba Mungu atusaidie mvua ya kuzalisha chakula. Tunamuomba hii mvua ya kuua watu wetu, ya kubeba watu wetu, ya kusafirisha watu wetu. Tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu atuondolee.
Families living on the lowlands were urged to move to safer grounds as it emerged that more dams in Kijabe area were full and their safety was not guaranteed.
Wale watu wako huku kwa milima, tunaomba nyinyi mteremke huku pahali tuko. Hakuna haja mngoje, hatujui nini itafanyika leo usiku.
Usikubali kurudi kwa hayo manyumba mpaka hali ya usalama itangazwe badala ya uchunguzi. Tuchunguze huko, kuna dam nyingi, hata upande wa Nyandarua hapo kwa mpaka yetu kuna dam nyingine ambayo bado imejaa. Tuone ile jinsi yenye tunaweza kuzuia maafa kama haya.
The tragedy disrupted traffic along various highways passing through Mai Mahiu as Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen called on Kenyans to be more cautious on flooded rivers and roads.
Currently we are counting maybe 300 people have died, but most of them did not need to die across the country. It's because of recklessness and some drivers forcing their way through water.
Ken Gashuhi, KTN News.
And more than 16 people are missing following a boat accident in the Madogo area of Tana River County. Only 4 bodies were recovered by Monday evening. The boat was ferrying people across the flooded section of the Madogarisa Road when tragedy struck. Hamza Yusuf has more.
What began as a safe journey ended up in tragedy for these passengers. This video footage shows people scrambling for space to board the boat while the captain tries to restrain them. After a short while, a speedy journey. Those on board say these 2 boats collided before one of them lost direction. Faiza Male, one of the survivors, narrates the horrifying ordeal.
Ikakuwa tumepanda excess, tukaambiwa tushuke, lakini watu sababu wengi wanangangania kwenda pande ile nyingine, hakuna mwenye ameshuka. Hii mahali ya kwanza maji imekatikia, ndio boat tu imeenda ikaanguka, ikaenda na side moja, mara ya pili imetufunika hivi, tukaanguka kwa maji. Sasa ilikuwa pale kama wewe uko na nguvu ya kuogelea, kama unajua kuogelea, unaogelea unajisaidia sababu maji pale ni mengi.
It is alleged the captain had no knowledge of the route. Shockingly, no one was wearing safety jacket. Many of them were students and teachers.
Unajua huyu alikuwa mgeni, alikuwa ametoka pale Lamu saa hii. Ilikuwa ndo amefika pale ile maeneo. Sasa yeye alibeba bado excess na hapo anajua barabara, ndo akasema yule mwingine apite mbele amfuate nyuma. Hiyo harakati ya kupitana ni kama wamegwaruzana, aka lose control. Sasa ndo akaenda akatuzamisha kwa maji.
Kwa kila mtu alikuwa anataka kuenda nyumbani. Ile shida tu ni mimi nimeona pale wale walikuwa wanataka kuenda Garissa kwao, ilikuwa pale walikuwa wachache. Sasa kulikuwa na watu wengine ambao kwao haikuwa Garissa lakini walijazana pale. Na haikuwa because there was no law and order there. Nobody was controlling them because unajua raia hawezi jizuia wao peke yao because itakuwa vita.
The boat was carrying 43. The Deputy County Commissioner of Garissa was bombarded with questions from Governor Nadif Jama.
What? Okay, do you have an indication who he was? Can we look for him? Can we help to look for who he is? Do you have any guys, your intelligence? Do you know any indication who he was?
We are coordinating with the other team from Tana River because the event happened in Tana River.
India ingeweza kutengenezwa, lakini contractor anaona akitengeneza badala ya apoteze pesa afadhali apoteze maisha ingine. Amenyamaza tu. Kwa sababu gani? Sasa leo maisha watu wamepotea lakini pesa yake haijapotea.
The Kenya Red Cross has released an official report on the actual number of passengers on board the boat.
Sasa ile information napata ni kwamba watu 23 walikuwa rescued jana usiku kwenye boat ambayo ilianguka. Na leo asubuhi tulitoa mwili moja ya msichana adult female moja asubuhi ndio tuliweza kuokoa. Tukaleta tukapeleka kwa mortuary, familia walichukua wakaenda kuzika. Tunasema pole kwa hiyo familia. Pia saizi hili habari napata ni kwamba kuna mtu mwingine mmoja msichana pia adult female amepata mwili yake imepatikana na analetwa saizi hapa. So in total we have 2 bodies that have been retrieved so far. And then we have also cases of 6 people who are reported missing. Kwa hizo tracing desk zetu Watu familia zao, marafiki na majamaa wamekuja wameripoti watu 6 wako missing mpaka sasa. Sasa kulingana na sisi watu 12 ndo wako unreported saizi. Hatujui kama wamefariki, wako uhai, hakuna familia wamekuja kuripoti hiyo kama wako missing. So hiyo ndo tunafanya Kenya Records.
Hakuna haja ya wewe kutaka kucross maji kama haya na ujitie katika hali ya hatari. There's no need. Have patience for a day or 2 or 3 until we can see how the situation gets or improves. But when you just simply say because you want to rush somewhere impatiently, this is the outcome.
On the other hand, the Deputy County Commissioner of Garissa has suspended boat transport except for the search and rescue operations.
The government is putting in intervention to ensure that no more movement is experienced in the main supply route. We only expect Kenya Red Cross speedboats to operate. Any other private speedboats are suspended forthwith. The speedboat that capsized yesterday, we are following leads to nab the suspect, the owner, and to apprehend him and to bring him before the court because he was operating illegally and he had no lifeboat support system, neither life jackets for...
As of Monday evening, only 4 bodies have been retrieved out of 20 reported missing. The government said the operation to find the 16 people will continue on Tuesday. Hamza Yusuf, KTN News, Tana River.
As well, also Senator Danson Mungatana is missing today. He's in Tana River to make sure that at least also they continue pace with the recovery of the bodies and joining other efforts also in that region to rescue the people who capsized. Now, uproar, confusion and chaos was the order of the day as Education CS Ezekiel Machogu postponed reopening of schools early Monday. Parents, learners and teachers were thrown into a wind of confusion after the government directive to extend April holidays for a week. In the last decision that has sparked uproar and confusion across the country, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu announced that school will now reopen on May the 6th, resting the earliest scheduled date of April 29th as a response to the ongoing heavy rains engulfing the country. Reporter Vera Mora has more.
Pandemonium in schools as parents, teachers and learners woke up to an early notice from the Ministry of Education to postpone the reopening of schools. This after some parents and even schools had already released their children to schools. A last-minute communication that left parents, teachers and students grappling with unexpected changes and logistical challenges. As a result, some learners and students reported back to school despite the postponement of the reopening dates. Some schools like Kapsabet Boys have received students that reopened.
Ijapokuwa kwamba walimu wote walikuwa wamesha ripoti kuanzia saa 2 na tayari tumeketi tukifanya mikakati ya matayarisho ya kuwapokea wanafunzi. So kwa hivyo si atu ku affected in any way.
Last week, Basic Education Principal Secretary Balio Kipsang indicated that 64 schools have been adversely impacted by the floods. However, the ministry did not postpone opening of schools for term 2 until 6 hours before schools were scheduled to resume. A spot check revealed that some schools turned away students that had reported, adding to the chaos and frustrations. The ministry's decision has now come under sharp criticism directed to CS Machogu for the delayed announcement, having that the country has been experiencing heavy rains and floods for almost a month now. The other factor that is brewing a crisis is a strike threat by 46,000 intern teachers, which threatens to disrupt learning in public schools. In Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, JSS teachers are already demonstrating.
We are urging the government and the TSC. 17,000 is not enough for a teacher. 17,000 is not enough to teach 36 lessons in a week. 17,000 is not enough to teach a subject that you are not trained for. For example, I'm a trained teacher in mathematics, but I'm going to teach on home science, earning 17,000. 17,000 is not enough to pay for my expenses. I'm urging the government for equality because I'm a qualified teacher, registered with Teacher Service Commission. I be confirmed and compensated for the months I've been working for the TSC.
In Kericho, 600 JSS teachers have already issued a 7-day strike notice to the government.
The internship program is illegal. So the internship program and selling of bank are the same thing. So we want the government of Kenya to confirm us, to compensate us.
Vera Mora, KTN News, Nairobi.
All right, we want to take a short break right now. When we circle back, of course, we shall hear from our guest this morning regarding what is happening with, of course, also with the education sector. Omboko Milemba is here to tell us more about the latest development. It really came from the left side for many of the parents, the teachers, also the learners as well. Many had traveled, many were on the road, many were in bus stations, and that particular announcement came a bit way too late. Well, could it have been done better? Well, we don't know, but we shall hear from a member of the Education Committee in the National Assembly on that, and moving forward, how should